Speech. Vielen Dank. Ich würde gerne Deutsch sprechen, aber leider kann ich es nicht. Ich habe Deutsch gelernt, aber ich habe alles vergessen. So in English. Allow me to introduce myself a bit more. I'm not sure if the speaker introduced the bank I used to work for, but it's been in the news lately, and it was called Lehman Brothers. I started my career in an unfortunate way, working on leveraged buyouts and private equity, the so-called locus, and then went into something that's considered even with less honor now, derivatives trading. But here I am, a reformed man standing in front of you, and hopefully I'll be able to give some insights as somebody who used to work on the inside. The financial system of the kind we have now is dysfunctional, and you have been saying it for a long time, and a lot of people have been saying it for a long time. But as someone who saw it from inside, I would go further. It's dysfunctional and hollow. And anybody who works inside who says that that is not the case is either lying or extremely incompetent or possibly both. The system is characterized by mind-boggling complexity, and that complexity exists for one primary purpose. It is to fool the taxman, it is to fool the regulators, and it is to extract as much profit as it can from people like you and I, the retail investors and the pension funds. It is extremely untransparent. You have 3 layers of secrecy. Imagine derivatives, which are not transparent, being held off balance sheets so nobody can see them, in tax havens. That's Russian doll secrecy theory. Secrecy within secrecy within secrecy. It is too big, and it is big primarily to earn profit margins and at the detriment of people such as you and I. And worst of all, what we've had is a financial system that has become just-in-time finance, where everything works very fast, is linked very closely to everything else. And it's like a conveyor belt or a highway system where all the cars are now trucks which are laden with fuel, which are moving very fast, which can crash anytime. The traffic policemen are gone, there are no traffic lights, there are no speed bumps, and there is fog in the air, so you can't really see what's going on. What's remarkable about the system is not how often it crashes, but given its nature, how little it crashes. And that's something we would do well to remember when we are designing the way forward. Let's dig a little bit deeper, talk a little bit about states and markets. Now, capitalism is based on the premise that individual greed somehow results in collective good. And that is the kind of thing we have seen now. Greed has existed as long as human beings have, for 1 million years or more. But capitalism, in the form that has brought prosperity, is a much more recent invention. And there is a reason for that. The rules and regulations that states give, the infrastructure that the state provides, which allow the individual greed to be tapped for collective good, is a recent invention. You can have states without capitalism, but you cannot have capitalism without states and rules and regulations. This fact seems to have become increasingly forgotten now. The kind of economic model we have ended up with is becoming further and further delinked, not just from the real economy, but very importantly from any governance, any accountability, any states. It operates in a realm of its own, somehow like the cyberspace, the internet, where nobody really knows where it exists. And in the presence of that delinking. It is simply not possible for finance to either serve the real economy, which it exists to do, or in fact to actually be stable, because stability is provided by rules and regulations and oversight. And in the absence of that, capitalism turns into rentierism, and you end up with rentier economies and the rentier financial system which extracts profits. The special role of finance. It is true that finance is special. You will hear a lot of financial people saying that. This may be really hard to believe right now, but it is actually the brain of the capitalistic system. And just as someone is pronounced brain dead and the body dies, that's the situation we are in, where the brain has stopped working and the rest of the economy is suffering. Because of that, and because of its inherent nature, where it's very easy to press the click of a mouse, it's much more difficult to try and move supply chains for cars, etc., to international boundaries. It is so much easier to make finance international than it is to make real products international. The second thing, it is very easy in finance to circumvent regulation. If you were a car manufacturer or you were a pharmaceutical company and you wanted to avoid some regulation, you would have to go through many hoops. It would be very expensive, it would be complicated, you would have to relocate parts of production. In finance, you can do it at the click of a mouse. So because of these two reasons, because finance is the brain of the economy, and if it stops working, the rest of the economy dies. And because it is so much easier for finance to get completely dissociated from states, from regulations, from reality, there is a special need for finance to be regulated much more tightly than the rest of the economy. Otherwise, we all suffer.